An Army veteran and teacher in Texas thinks there is a better option for president than Biden and Trump, taking things into his own hands and running a long shot here, a long shot race to prove a point by changing his name to literally anybody else. The man formerly known as Dustin Eby legally changing his name to literally anybody else. And here's his driver's license. He's an organ donor as well.
His website, reading in part, "For too long, have Americans been a victim of its political parties putting party loyalty over governance? Together, let's send the message to Washington and say, you will represent the people or be replaced. America should not be stuck choosing between the king of debt and an 81-year-old. Literally anybody else isn't a person. It's a rally cry." And he's here now. Literally anybody else. Mr. Else, literally, hey, nice to see you. Thanks so much for coming on today. Look, this is a wild story. I get it. You know, there's clearly some frustration out there for folks saying, give us another option. This is 2020 2.0. We know these guys. We know their policies, and they're back at it again. That's all to say that there's still huge support for the former President Donald Trump and their supporters for President Joe Biden as well. Why do you think you're better than both the candidates?
I mean, it's just the sense of, you know, a lot of people were dissatisfied with this back in 2020. And, you know, we're kind of seeing the same old show. And, you know, they don't really represent us anymore. You know, Donald Trump is part of that 0.1% of the wealth context. And Joe Biden has been a politician for over 60 years. And, you know, how can you be in touch with the common person if you haven't lived it within the past 50? You know, it's one of those things I'm much better connected to, you know, folks like you or I, because, you know, I've lived those experiences. I've struggled those struggles. Now, granted, they do have an advantage in terms of knowing exactly what it takes to run the presidency, like technically. But that's something, you know, politics by nature is a no experience required kind of deal. That doesn't mean it's preferable to have experience, but, you know, I'm a pretty quick learner, I like to think. But, you know, it's one of those things. It's not really about me winning the presidency. It's not about me, you know, getting that. It's more about sending a message that, you know, we could do better. 300 million people. There's somebody out there who could succeed in running this country in a beneficial way, in a unifying way.
Yeah.
You know, I view them as kind of like a bad relationship. You know, if in a bad relationship, it's not necessarily how the others treat us, but what they bring out in us. And I don't feel like those two candidates bring out the best in America. We are better, but when we're with them, it's not the best of us.
And this shows, again, the American people, there are different opinions, different thoughts, different wants and desires in a candidate. Candidate here, literally anybody else, is his name. Mr. Else, I'm curious to know maybe what maybe family, friends, have they responded to this? I mean, changing your name to literally anybody else. What did they say about that? What kind of feedback are you getting?
So initially it was, you know, that kind of well reserved is like, oh, hey, there's Dustin with his wild ideas again. You know, it's one of those, I mean, granted, this was one of the more unique ones, but, you know, my parents are proud of me. You know, it's one of those things, a lot of people complain, but a lot less people actually take action and do something. And this, I hope, is a rallying cry for those who have the feelings, who resonate with the message I'm trying to send, but didn't know where to put their energy. You know, if you feel this way, I want you part of this movement. Please join us to help spread this message, to spread this notion, so that we can send the message to, you know, the Republicans and the Democrats to give us better choices. You know, I believe there were better choices within each party, but we still got who we got. You know, and it's one of those things we'll see where it goes.